All right, so here are some of the dailies we've got for you this Wednesday morning. We start off with Nigerian Tribune. More states get set for local government polls. Kwara, Kogi, Kaduna, Bauchi affirm dates, set rules. Aiyedatiwa asks caretaker chairman to resume despite Supreme Court judgment. Akwa Ibom governor says LG autonomy relief to states, seeks effective implementation. So, what situation is going on with that of Ondo State? Is that a flagrant disregard for the laws? We'd like to hear. Lots of people out there on this one. And then on to New Telegraph. Sage to NAS. Remove local governments from constitution. Says cancels third tier listing aberration. Insists lawmakers haven't done substantial aberration since 2000. You don't have to take a look at that and see what that actually does mean. Beneath that story, I'd like to highlight this one. Cholera. NCDC confirms 3,623 cases, 103 deaths. That definitely needs some attention in terms of what needs to be done about it to stem that tide. From then on to the Guardian newspaper, they focus on new electricity tariff. Yeah, it's still a thing. Blackout looms as 11 universities struggle with 2.92 billion naira bill monthly. Then they just highlight the amount paid by universities for electricity monthly, and so you can see all of that up from University of Lagos to Adust. All see how they flow right there on the front page of the Guardian here today. Vanguard newspaper today says FG's policies crippling businesses, ascribed to Neka, Man, Nasima. So we'll get to hear from some of them as well today on the program. Let's turn to News Direct. Economic hardship. Tinubu loves Nigerians. Will do well for country. Ascribed to Remi Tinubu. Be patient with current administration. Lagos Oba urges Nigerians. So, there you go. And then, Blueprint newspaper. For maximum output, Tinubu orders CDS to end oil thefts, criminality in Niger Delta. And you see the writer here says, we're set to carry out President's directive. Musa. Yeah. And beneath that list, the Rikano crisis, Yusuf creates 3 second-class emirates to support new emirs. Government files fresh charges against Ganduje. So that's still going on there. Well, the Independent has a different narrative entirely. Affairs flies sky high amid high operational costs and charges. Sector woes reduce indigenous airlines aircraft fleets to 45 from 100. Fear of many carriers shutting down operations soon heightens. Daily Trust, same narrative. Domestic airfares trump regional tickets. That's what they also see there. And then Business Day, they've got this big story. 13 Nigerian airlines blacklisted for contract breaches. Wow. And then the writer says, aircraft shortage worsens. Lessors demand return of aircraft from airlines. Wow. One could imagine what the implication of this one might be this morning. Those are the headlines today. Ayo, I know you're itching for this one, so get it off your chest. Let's know which one sticks out for you this morning, Ayo. Let's find out if it's the same from the telepathy is stronger this morning.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm naturally tempted to go, through the local government administration part, the local government autonomy thing, because it's been a passion for years. It's something you are not unaware of, Chamberlain and Mokwe. But let me stick with business this morning, the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And it's not news either, what you have on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, that the federal government's policies are crippling businesses. And guess what? That's coming from NECA, from MAN, and from NASIMA. And if you read the inside pages of the Vanguard newspaper, they list 6 major problem areas. Of course, the NLC is threatening to shut down Nigeria for 30 days over the moves by the National Assembly to deregulate minimum wage. And, but, you know, for me, the fact that businesses are being crippled is something that should give us concern. And it is something that is known to everyone. The consequences are dire. One of the comments in the wake of the local government autonomy thing that the governor of Oyo State made was that our major problem as a nation is productivity. We are not as much a producing nation as we ought to be. That is a given. Now, for businesses to be saying this, and these are not just small businesses, clearly. This is NECA, the body that represents employers in the country. And the consequence of businesses being crippled is likely to be job losses. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, a good number of them are having such a hard time. Of course, look, just go through the papers. You'll find the issues that some of these issues are not new to us. A good number, a significant part of that issue is electricity and infrastructure that can facilitate businesses. And then, of course, you are looking at NASIMA. The issues are there. So are there conversations being had between the federal government and the states? Of course, this is not unconnected with the recent figures or the inflation figures and other figures that have been raised by government. On the one hand, the federal government says the inflation figures are hovering around 30% or thereabout. And the businesses, the OPS in Nigeria is saying, no, it's a lot more than that. Some are even alleging something in the region of 90% inflation. Whether or not that is it, I guess the important thing here is what are these consequences? Let's have a sit down and have a conversation around this, because at the end of the day, it goes back to the people. That's my take this morning, Chamberlain.
Oh, well, Ayo, truly, I mean, who would not be concerned about business? I just wish this music would come down a bit. But really, there is so much to be concerned about. I mean, but sometimes you have to say businesses, can they just be very certain, say one thing and mean it? Because 1 minute, you know, there was a conversation around AFCFTA after, which, you know, recorded its first shipment yesterday. Listening to the, I'm trying to remember the position he carries now, but Mr. Awolowo yesterday was sounding very optimistic about it, and we understand that the business associations that had expressed reservations before now, you know, became very, you know, they became very supportive of it. It does appear that manufacturing seems to be on the uptick. So if there is some, you know, development around there, some positive development around there, it's sometimes very difficult to reconcile that with what it is that we're reading on the front pages today, because it just spoke a few days ago. So, but, you know, they must always be listened to regardless. Maybe it's possible that it was okay 2 days ago and it's not okay today. That is a possibility. So from what we understand now, that has been listed. But I want to look at this issue of blackouts, which we're currently saying. We understand that as we're speaking, there's a protest currently happening at the University of Ibadan, which we will bring to you later. And it's on the back of blackouts, which we understand could be looming in a number of universities. We spoke about electricity yesterday, and we talked about constant power supply, and we also spoke about affordable power supply. Don't forget that some time ago, I'm trying to remember precisely when, the federal government had tried to remove the universities, is it from the national grid now, by putting them with this rural electrification program. They should be able to generate their own electricity and provide their own electricity. It doesn't appear that that program has yielded much fruit. If, from what we're seeing, universities are still being crippled by electricity debt. So look at how much The Guardian is reporting now. New electricity tariff. Blackout looms as 11 universities struggle with 2.92 billion naira bill monthly. So while it is that universities must get, must be prioritized in terms of electricity, I think that there needs to be a further look at this particular story to see how the new tariff regime is affecting universities. Can they truly carry it? Because We know as a matter of priority at the universities, there is no way we can ration electricity to universities. And we understand that was the situation in the University of Ibadan, where the students were told they were only going to get 10 hours a day, 6 hours in the morning, 4 hours at night. I mean, how is that going to happen in places when we know that the hostels are crowded during the day and the labs and what have you? You know, electricity is needed to be able to get work going on the university premises. So that story that needs to be taken, that story needs a closer look taken at it to see what can be done to ease the burden of heavy electricity tariffs on universities, and what precisely happened with the intervention of the Rural Electrification Agency in universities.
All right, so there is indeed a lot for us to unpack here this morning, guys. So we'll go on. We'll return to you in just a moment because we've got our guests all ready and waiting, and then we'll bring you a lot more of those other narratives that are playing out in different parts of the country in just a moment. Stay on with us.